Welcome to the Paths We Take podcast. I'm your host, Jordan DeSange. Let's hit a path. This episode is also brought to you by the Stay Strong Run Project. You can visit staystrongrun.com.au to learn more, but basically in March, I will be running 2 marathons every day for 7 straight days. That is nearly 600 kilometers for the Breakthrough Foundation Mental Health Research. You can head to my Instagram to learn more. You can learn more about my story there, about my story with depression, with suicide, and the reason why I am doing this. I want to demonstrate that you can continue, you can keep going no matter how hard life gets, no matter how hard things get, no matter how much your body is telling you to stop, your mind is telling you to stop, you can keep going and you can stay strong. So again, you can visit staystrongrun.com.au to learn more. You can also head there to donate if you'd like, or to reach out to me personally if you have a story that you want to share to get off your chest, or if you can get involved in any way. I am looking for a support crew for the entire 7 days, as well as help leading up. I cannot do this alone. So you can reach out to me on the website. My contact info is there as well. And that is the Stay Strong Run project. Thank you. Thank you for coming back on the mic.
Thanks
Matt.
for having me. My pleasure.
That's all right. Lots to chat about because I think November actually is when you were on last. So almost a year now, really, but a lot has happened in that 6-7 months, is it? Yeah, almost around that time. So it's cool to see kind of what you've been up to and what's going from there. But for the person listening right now, because I think this is a new concept, I don't know that I've asked you this last time, but if the person listening had an autobiography in front of them and it was your story, what are some things that you think you want people to know in that story to include?
Things from my story. I think something that I'm finding that I'm loving is like all the community side of everything that I'm doing. And like that was something that I actually struggled with when I was younger in terms of like I played lots of team sports. And then I decided I wanted to do individual sports because I was like, I want to run the show. I don't want anyone to let me down. If I win, I win. And if we lose, I can't blame anyone. It's just me. Like all that sort of mindset, which like isn't actually conducive to like a good life. Like people who, in my opinion, like if I, for example, was to try to operate like that in the real world, like it's not a great idea, right?
You can't go through it alone.
No, not at all. But then so grateful that I've found good communities now and creating communities now that hopefully people feel are a good supportive place to come to, where we like have all of this, and I try to reduce the barriers as well around these sorts of places. So like I think last time we talked about how sometimes people are like, okay, I'm going to the gym, and then it's quite intimidating for them to actually drive there, like go in by themselves, go through the doors, say hello to the trainer, what's going to happen, all these sorts of things. Where we try to make it BP, like we try to put so much out there around like how it actually looks and how you're going to go and like show the people there and like trying to put myself out there a little bit so people can see who the dude is that's there, and hopefully I look approachable and friendly enough and you rock up and I try to say hello to everyone before the session starts. But yeah, like that's something that I'm definitely trying to lean into and be a lot more of. Maybe as like talking about the autobiography piece, like more of like as I'm trying to write the next part of my autobiography, is that's what's hopefully going to fill a few pages. Yeah.
Well, I think community is key. And I think too, like what you've done, like there's finding community, which I'm sure you found along the way as well. But then there is the next level up, which is building community as well. For you, what was that different? So when did you first find community versus when you started to want to build community?
Yeah.
What was that differentiation for you?
Yeah, and like full credit to where I was going, which was Revel Unley, Revel Training in general. That whole brand, what they execute so well is the community. So like lots of good programming out there at lots of different gyms, and then something that Revel Unley does extremely well and something why they retain so many members is the community. So like everyone who goes there feels welcome. You get a good workout as well, but everyone feels welcome. And then that is something that I was like, that is a key ingredient to whatever I'm trying to build. Because like bigger picture is like trying to change the world through movement and community. And then it's like, okay, well, you can have that as your goal, but then you've got to have the people there in the community, and you've got to make it like people feel like coming to the community and contributing. So really trying to create a space where everyone's welcome. And it is as simple as saying hello to people and saying, hey, how are you? How's your weekend? Like, but also like a little bit deeper of like, if they mentioned something to you last time, like try to actually remember that and like bring it up, and like positive or negative, whatever it is. I think you got to remember as well is like everyone for them, like they are like the main character of their story. And that's great and it's good and people should love themselves. So it's like, if you can show them that you actually care about them, then that's going to go a long way. And then hopefully they'll come back, and then the numbers will build, and then it's just this beautiful organic thing that's happening, which is awesome. And thank you for being a part of it as well.
No, that's all right.
Yeah,
but I think too, awesome. When you are, let's say, building community, like it's one thing to build something, but then it's another thing for people to actually show up, really. Maybe let's go back to November, go back to the early days of BP. What did that look like? I know we already went through this in the last episode, but it's come such a long way, really. So what were the early days like for BP, and what was it like building something like that?
Yeah, no, that's crazy actually how last time I was on here was 8 months ago. And at that point we were running around Unley Oval, and there might have been like 5 people, maybe 8 people.
Almost getting hit by cars and stuff, you know?
It was literally running on the road. And I think we might have hit double digits in numbers one week. And I thought, oh man, this is getting huge. We've got to go somewhere. So I think January, like pretty much the new year, the first Tuesday or Thursday, whatever it was, we moved to the Parklands. Which is a little level up because we've also got a coffee shop there. So like somewhere for people to mingle before and after.
I think that's important.
Huge piece.
I remember back to that Oval day, being done, sitting in my car, and then being like, okay, cool. I have like 20 minutes to kill before I have to go to work. You know what I mean? So that's I think an important piece really for community, really, is that communication and that post coffee or whatever. Yeah,
it's like the watering hole afterwards. And like still keeping like the session as like challenging, and like we're here to challenge ourselves and set goals and achieve those goals, but then like having the meeting place before and after, which is the coffee shop just down the road, who were very good to us. I think that's a huge piece. So to have that, so just sort of in terms of our growth, it's been like we had maybe 5-10 people on a big day in summer back then, so it should have been a big time, but now during winter we've grown out to, it was actually Tuesday just gone, we had 45 people there, which was huge for us, and it's all from like the people are so nice to each other, so supportive of each other, where someone comes along their first time, most of the time they come back, and I think like that is awesome, that we can say that. It's all the people there that do that. Like, it's not really me just saying hello and being nice to people. It's more like the actual culture that we've got there. So proud that has developed and stayed strong. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Cova House Running. Now, I founded Cova House Running and this company because I found the running scene was getting a bit fuzzy. I think things are getting lost in the whole running world, and I really wanted to build a business and build a brand that honed in on just running. I think running has come a long way in the last couple of years, and we all do it for different reasons, and that's what this brand is about. It is about representing every runner, and not just the fast runner, not just the elite runner, not just the runner that can run the longest. Running is such a big part of a lot of people's lives, and everybody does it for a different reason. Whether you are a road runner, whether you are a trail runner, whether you run in high rocks or another sport, running is for everybody. So you can visit kova.house, KOVA.HAUS to shop now. The full men's Origin collection is out now, and the women's collection will be out early next year, 2027. We are also going to be dropping the Stay Strong Run collaboration, where proceeds to this shirt will go to Breakthrough Foundation, and this will be a unisex shirt. Thank you all. And I think it's sticking to something. Like, I think you could have easily been like, well, it's winter now, it's getting cold, it's raining, let's maybe give this a miss, really. But I think just like anything, it's consistency, right? Like, I know for me, this time of year is hell because I hate the rain. I'm such a sook. Coming from somewhere where it rains 60% of the year, I'd find that pretty funny. But like, if I wake up in the morning and I know that I'm going to group session and it's raining, like, you kind of are like, oh well, other people are going to be there, so I can't be the only one that like doesn't go. So I think that's what probably makes it easier for people as well. But then, like you were saying, is you need to also have that reason to go back, really. Like, if somebody says a hi goes a long way, really, or just a smile or whatever it might be from across the road, it makes a big difference, I think, for people. First impressions are key, really. What was your fitness journey like? So when did you get into health and fitness, and why?
It's a long journey. I'm probably glad we've got a podcast for this because I've got a bit of backstory to this. But I was always active when I was younger, but I would probably and this is just objectively, I wasn't in shape, although you probably shouldn't say that about a child, but I was slightly chubby, loved to move, loved to eat, so wasn't in the best nick. And then it was sort of like when you go into high school, when people start looking in the mirror and thinking, oh, okay, what's going on here? Why these dudes look like this? And why do I look like that? What's going on here? And I wasn't happy with how I looked, and I was very self-conscious, to the point of you go to the PE change rooms and I would have a white t-shirt that I would wear and I wouldn't take that one off, and I'd put my PE top on top of that. And I'm sure I wasn't actually I don't know, unhealthy in terms of if you were to go to a GP or to do whoever and get an assessment saying I'm sure I was healthy, but just my self-consciousness was I was just so self-conscious of how I looked. So anyway, Dad went to the gym with me, took me to the gym, I should say, because I basically was trying to share with him how I was feeling. And he was, so great to take me in there and show me how to start lifting. I remember going on the lat pull down and things, and I'm pretty sure that for the first 6 months or even a year, I would do the exact same workout 3 times a week, no program, no idea what weight it was, just stick the pin in the thing, do a few of those ones, the exact same thing. But it was building that routine, and then don't even know if my actual body shape would have changed as a 15 or 16 year old, whatever I was, but a little bit of confidence was there, and I probably look in the mirror and see the same dude, but mentally I'm oh yeah, I'm a bit better, and you hold your shoulders back and you just present a bit better. And I loved that. And then actually probably a year or 2, 3 years, I would start looking at dudes on YouTube and figuring out how they train and try to copy that, and nutrition and everything. And then I had mates come to me and ask me for tips, and that was when I really loved it, because you can actually say oh, this is doing something for me. And then here's some other people who need a similar help, who are in a similar spot, who've trusted me to say, hey, look, man, I'm not happy with this. And we can work on that. So that was cool. Yeah. And then, so started doing that. Went into gym by myself, and then started doing all the group training as well, which I loved. Yeah. And from there have now started, started the BP running club, which is great. Started doing PT at home in our home gym, which has been cool, helping people with programming. There's a lady who I work with who I do her program for her and her husband that they do together, which for them, it's as much about movement and training as it is as a couple, spending some time together. Saturday morning, we've got our 30 minutes together, and they love it. They love in the moment the training. And it's not oh, my biceps are a 0.1 of a centimeter bigger than last week. It's oh, we train together, we move together, we get a coffee after. I feel good. I'm happy with myself. I love that I'm moving. And that's, sort of where my fitness journey is at now. Like, it was definitely, I was very self-conscious as a child, and like so grateful that I had my dad to help me with that, and then started sharing with other people to be like, you can improve how your body looks. And now it's more like, you obviously still are self-conscious. Like, I'm not going to pretend I'm not, but it's like, it's definitely moving towards now. Like, I'm so proud that I can help people feel good with fitness, not like feel good because they have bigger biceps, but like feel good with fitness because they love doing it with people. They love how it actually makes them feel. They get all the feel good chemicals, like all that. So, absolutely love it, and I'm still loving it. So that's cool.
And it, like, learning it at a young age, I think, is quite important too, because it builds fundamental skills when you're older. Like, you wouldn't know, or you wouldn't be as far, I think, as you would be if you were learning it at a later date, I think. And we were just having that conversation earlier, like, people in their 20s now are, going to run clubs, going to LSKD events or things like that. Whereas I know when I was 20, I wasn't doing that at all. I was 20 like 11 years ago now. And like, Saturday morning, I definitely wouldn't have been going to like, a run club or like going for an 8K run like I did or whatever it might be. Like, I think health and fitness has come a long way, and like, to be in that field and to be helping people, because like, it is something where unless you've done it for years, it can be quite daunting these days, especially when there's so much out there. There's so many groups out there. There's so much information out there. So it's like, where do I go to? What do I do really? Because I think like it was easier. I know too, similarly, when I was growing up, like, it was easier to search a YouTube video because there was so far few between. There were like maybe 3 or 4 main people that you would go to, and that's really it. Whereas now there's probably hundreds and thousands, maybe millions, who knows really. But like, the information is so skewed. So I think it's nice to have, like, that's where I think it is still nice to have that face-to-face, like one-on-one, to go and see someone versus like the whole online field right now, because again, it can get a bit mixed up really. So your fitness journey has kind of grown from there. You are, where you are now. It seems to have come a bit full circle in the sense where, you were doing it for yourself. Now you're doing it for others and yourself as well. When it comes to that connection with BP, what was the reason why you started the Belief Project?
Yeah, the very start, honestly, was because I wanted people to do my running sessions with me. Because I wanted to get fitter, and I was aware that for me and for like most people is if like you're in a group, you will run harder, you'll run better, you'll actually, as you were saying, you'll actually show up. And that was the very start, because I was just like, I need to do running sessions with people. Surely there's some other people who are in the same boat. And they were called the speed sessions. And that was the first 6. And it was just like, we're going to run 6 speed sessions. If anyone wants to come, here's what they are, come along. Right. And then now it's like definitely built out to, I'm trying to figure out like what's on the running calendar, for example, for people. And we do our calendar a month in advance. Like, we're already working on September now, and it's the 1st of August. But we're just trying to figure out what are people probably doing, like Barossa, as in the Barossa Marathon, or 21, 10K, whatever it is, City to Bay, like the 12 and a half. So like, how can we program people best for that, rather than like, how can I go quicker, and like, what's my sessions, which is cool. Yeah,
no, for sure. Like, because I think too, like, going from it just being you and then now it to where it's now is quite cool, really. It's come a long way in that regard. When it comes to building something like this, behind the scenes, to people listening right now, or to the person listening right now, sorry, what does it look like behind the scenes when it comes to planning, when it comes to building? Because again, it's another thing to, I think a lot of the times we think, especially if you want something to grow, I think we think, okay, cool, I'm going to post it on social media and people are just going to show up. And yes, a lot of the times people will show up, but like, that's not necessarily how you grow something, I don't think, a lot of the days these days, because even in the health and fitness, like we were saying, there's here in Adelaide, there's a run group pretty much every day these days. You know what I mean? So what's it like behind the scenes, and what do you think makes it different versus somebody going to, another session on a Tuesday or whatever?
Yeah. I think like first, I would say I've learnt or like found so much respect for anyone who is trying to create anything. Like it's insane the amount of work behind the scenes that actually like gets shown out in the world or like comes to be real, that like people can come to or like show up for or contribute to, whatever. And like there's always so much more work than what you think it is. Like anyone could probably get a pen and paper right now, give me some ideas about this is what you should do for BP. I'm like, thanks, man. That's so good. How do we implement that? And then it's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, well, I mean, and then you're like, okay, yeah. So this is like how it really is. So lots of stuff behind the scenes. I wouldn't be able to do it alone is probably what I should say as well. So like, it isn't me like doing it. Like Sarah does so much work behind the scenes. I've got a lot of the guys help me behind the scenes as well. Even I would say like just in terms of support network has been massive for me. Like, I do struggle a lot with trying to like maintain what I've got going and then like build the next layer and like build the next layer with in like everything in life. I mean, not just BP because I've got so much other stuff going on, a lot of good stuff. So I think it's like for me is like my support network that I have there, which is like my family and my loved ones and like my friends that are close to me who, for example, a mate of mine I messaged yesterday and I was just like, dude, I'm just like in a pretty tough spot with this at the moment. And then he just sort of like gets me straight again. And then I still show up for what I had to do last night and then show up this morning for like commitments to LSKD and everything there. And you just keep rolling. So I think like there's a lot of work that I definitely do behind the scenes. And that's part of what you have to do if you want to actually create something. Like that's just part of the deal, right? It's like, for example, like people see runners like, oh, I want to run a sub 25k, right? You're like, okay, cool. What's your current 5k? Like 25 minutes. I'm like, okay. So you can just say, I want it. And then it's like, this is actually the sessions you're gonna have to do over the next 3 months to try to get anywhere near that. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And it's like, it's a lot of work. So I guess, big support behind me is what I like appreciate so much. So all the people and all the brands that is behind us, and also like just to know that people believe in what I'm trying to build as well. Like it's very easy for someone to just sort of be like, this is the way. I know it's going to work and I've got all this belief in myself, and it's like that might be great that works for other people, but for me is like to have other people actually message me or like come out and say something to me or be like, hey, when's your next event? Because we want to sponsor it. Like all that stuff fuels me a lot and like actually keeps me driving, because you're like, okay, like I want to create something great for the world. And then like if these brands are going out of their way to come to me to say we want to help get you there, like that's fueling me a lot. So like all that keeps me driving and keeps the passion there. So yeah.
I think too, a lot of it is putting ego aside. Like I think when you think of, I've been to your sessions, and I think too, like I don't ever feel like when I'm there I'm competing with other people. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's not this field of ego going on when you go to a BP session, which I think makes it inviting and makes it why it's growing, really, because again, you want people to come back and you want people to have fun, really, while working at the same time. Like, you can't win training at the end of the day. Like, and I think too, like when you put your ego aside, that's quite motivating for people to kind of come back, really. What I guess, because it also, like, from your answer there, I think you also have to be motivated and driven to grow something, right? Like, again, you can put something out there, you can just kind of go through the motions, but for it to evolve, you do need to have a bit of a drive and continually put in the work on top of everything else that you have going on, really. What do you think is your drive? when it comes to, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be with BP, but it can be just in life, really.
Yeah, it's so interesting you asked that, because I was chatting to Sarah about this a few days ago when we were going for a walk, and it's definitely changed a lot now from like, I want to do these things, for example, to run faster, is I want to do these things for more of like a legacy. And like, it's probably weird to say that as like a dude who's 31 years old, like touch wood, I'm not going to die anytime soon. But like, I'm definitely starting to think more about like, okay, like at the end of this week or end of this month, the end of this year, like the end of my life is like, am I going to be proud of like what I'm doing here? And I think it's important for me as an individual to like strive for goals always. So like, yeah, like if I'm going in the Barossa 10K, I want to run under 41 minutes, right? And that's hard. Like I want that, and I'm probably going to be fucking, I don't know if I can swear, very, very upset if I don't do that, but I'm going to drive as hard as I can to get there. But in terms of bigger legacy piece, is what I want is our BP runners to go there, have a good time, set a goal, enjoy, and like keep building with their running journey, and like to feel or like say or like have other people feel that we at BP have helped get them there. Is like, that's what it is for me now, like that legacy piece where it's like, whatever this BP develops out into is like, if that can create these feelings for these people and like that impact on their life, like that's what I want, like that's the goal. So it's that piece.
And that it probably just comes with the journey too, doesn't it? Because like, I think we all sometimes go through that, and I feel like that's just life. Like you have to go through that transition from like, I want to do this for running faster or for, competing or whatever it might be. And yes, you still have, like you were saying, you still have those goals, but I think with, I don't want to say age because we're still young, but with like, just with like life really, like I think, things do like you kind of feel at the end of the day, okay, well, there should be more, right? Like I personally don't really care about running elite anymore. It's more so, like you were saying, it's more so, okay, well, I want to use running now for a purpose, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing in March. And like, I think that's just something though that you have to go through. Like everybody has to go through, like, I want a sub-3 marathon, or I want like, a 40 half, whatever it might be, right? Or not a 40 half, that would be phenomenal, really. 40 10K. But like, everybody has to go through that, I think. And I think just like with life, you kind of grow and you're kind of like, oh, well, there's more sometimes, really. And it's great that you've, I guess, found that, really. What else do you have going on when it comes to like your health and fitness right now? So I know you just did Goldie. What has your year looked like? Let's talk about that. So living in Australia, you definitely need a good pair of sunnies. You need a good pair of sunnies during the winter, during the summer. It doesn't really matter because the sun can be shining any time of the year here. I wear Reor Run sunnies just because they are clear, they are bounce free, they are stylish, and they are intended for running. So you can, of course, wear them whenever, really. But I think finding a good running sunny is very hard to find because sometimes they fog up. Sometimes you're running and they start moving, bouncing around your face. Sometimes you have to take them off of your face because you go through a shady area or whatever it might be. The thing about Reor Run sunnies is they are made for running. So again, they don't move when you run. They adapt to the lights that you go through. So if you are going through a shady part, if you are going into bright sun, the lenses adapt to the changes of light, which is awesome. You don't need to flick them on and off of your face. And they look great, they feel great, and they are durable. So definitely visit reorrun.com.au and you can use Jordan10, the code, to save some money on there as well. Thank you, Reor Run, for supporting this episode, and definitely check them out if you have time.
So I set 2 goals for this year for my personal fitness, which I set last November, which like I don't know, for other people, they might think that's like disorganized and they do it earlier. But like for me, that was like huge. And I would never normally just say like 2 hard goals and basically devote the year to those goals. So like, as you mentioned, actually, yeah, one of them was the Goldie, and I did want to go sub 3 was my goal. And like on that piece, I didn't get there. And there's two elements to that. Is like the first one, I just was not fit enough, and like I will say that. I ran a 3:34 last year, and I was like, I reckon I can run like a 3:30 or a 3:20 if I train hard. And then I was like 3:10, like maybe. And then I was like 3 would be just absolutely nuts. So like I wonder if I just go all in on running. If I nailed absolutely every week, could I get close? So yeah, the first piece was I didn't get fit enough because I didn't nail everything on the way. Whatever, we keep moving. Fitter than I've ever been, so that's great. But then the second piece was on the day. I also like my leg flared up that I'd had a month out. I was in my last hard long run of the build, and I had a problem with my foot, and then that happened again in the marathon. Anyway, so that was the first piece for the year, which was like 7 months of training towards that. And then the second piece for the year is the High Rocks goal. So I'll still do a lot of running leading into High Rocks because High Rocks is half running. So like, yeah, the Barossa 10K is like, you know, a little goal along the way to High Rocks. And then I'll do City to Bay 12K, like another goal along the way. Just, I'm a huge fan of like booking an event and like having something on the calendar. So, you know, like on this day, I'm going to show up and have a crack and we're going to find where we're at. Like,
I agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Like, it's so much easier to have something, if it's small, big, whatever it might be, even like little micro events, you know what I mean? Like leading up the way, it's, I don't know. I think that's the only way for me to get through.
Totally.
Really.
Totally. Like when you wake up and you're tired on a Tuesday and you've got a session there, if you have to show up in 3 weeks in the Barossa and try and run a PR, you will go to that session on Tuesday and you will run hard. But if you're not booked in for that race, you're like, oh, I think I'm going to enter. On that Tuesday, you might just be like, oh, I'm just going to jog today.
I get what keeps you motivated all the time, right? And like, I think it's that, having a goal, really, because habits are one thing. Like, yes, I have the habits, but I think back to the last month, it's been like, wow, it's been almost a month now since Goldie, but like the first 2 weeks, you're recovering, whatever. But then the last 2 weeks, like really, it's not until last week and this week that I'm getting back into, you know, actual training for September's race. And the last couple of weeks, like I've skipped sessions. Because like, I'm like, I knew, oh, I don't have to put in the work really, even though like I have the habits, I have whereas now I'm like, oh, I have the training block, I have everything in place, like I have this goal. So I think like having a goal is so important, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just on that, we recently had our LSKD like athlete conference in Melbourne, which was awesome. And one of the parts I loved, which they were like, oh, it's a bit cringy, I'm not sure if you'll love it, is they do a whole goal setting piece. And I'm like, that's my shit. Like people probably think it's like so cringe, but I love it. And it's like, it comes from the core of like being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, like, what do I want? Like for my life. And it doesn't have to be like in 40 years I'm going to do this. It's like look in the mirror and be like, okay, by this time next year I would like to have this, or I'd like to have done this. And it could literally be save for a holiday. Like I'm not saying it has to be like bench 100, run a 2-hour like half marathon, whatever it is. So I love that, because then it just like puts this thing in front of you and you're like, that's what I want. And like you've said that to yourself. And then this whole goal setting day as well, what I loved was they do this piece where you like write in the circle around, here's some things I want. And then they're like, okay, now that circle is what you want. And here's what we're going to put some time into now. Right outside the circle, what you're leaving. And I don't actually do a lot of that side of it, which I thought was valuable, but I hadn't thought about it before. So it's literally, for me, and some people probably have a different take on this, but it's my life, so take it as you will, is like the piece on like balance, in terms of like sometimes in some seasons, if you really want something, there's going to be a little bit of balance out the window. So like you're going to have to just commit and do it and whatever's required, and like just start and like try. And if it turns out you can't on that day, like you can't, and whatever, you throw in the towel, whatever it is. But like you gotta try it there, rather than be like, oh, I need to take every Monday off. And it's like, okay, well, is that going to get you what you need, or are you going to sort of double down for a little while here and it will get you those things that are inside the circle? But yeah, that was one. And then another piece is just around, like, very easy to say, but like just caring about what other people think, which is like saying I'm trying to leave behind, but it's incredibly hard just because as humans, like, we are like naturally, we've evolved to like need the acceptance of the group because we survive in groups. People need groups. And then by extension, that means you care what people think of you. But it's like, if you want saying, like, and you're putting yourself out there, you're trying to publicly say, like, this is what I'm trying to do. For example, for yourself, when you're trying to raise all this money for the charity, is like, people going to have things to say about that. Like, oh, is it good for you to run 2 marathons a day for 7 days? And you're like, okay.
No, it's not.
No, no, it's not. But it's like, is it good to raise 25 grand for the charity you believe in? Yes. So, you know, you would have to do a bit of that, which is like what I'm learning as well. A lot more of like, put yourself out there more. People got more things to say. And like, it's supportive, which is awesome. But then the other thing, obviously, with the human brain is like 99 good comments positively from people. And then you get like one, and the one that's negative is like sticks in your brain. But yeah, trying to just, you know, hone in on those 99 positives, keep building what we're trying to build. But yeah.
But I love that like sacrifice thing that you were mentioning, because I think that's very difficult for people to grasp unless somebody has a goal, like we've talked about, unless somebody has a goal that, you know, is not unfathomable, but like something that they've potentially never done before. Like, I don't know that it's easy to wrap your head around making that sacrifice that needs to be done. And like, I think too, like we've talked about this on the podcast in the past, like making the sacrifices, yeah, you make them, but like, it doesn't mean that you need to lose everything along the way. Like, you know, there are ways to, let's say, keep friends on board or keep family on board. Like, if you talk through things, if you let people know, this is my goals for the next 6 months, you know, I'm not going to maybe come to the birthday, I'm not going to do this or that. Like, I think people at the end of the day will understand if you talk and you give that reasoning. But like, I think that's a hard thing because not a lot of people are willing to make that sacrifice. Like, I think we can balance it all, but I've learned recently, no, you can't balance it all. Like, taking on this new thing, that's why this podcast was ending like 2 weeks ago, really. And it's not now, but like, because I knew that something had to give for me to do what I want to do in March. Something had to give. And like, I just had to sit down and, like you were saying, look at the circle and like, what can I take out? What needs to be taken out for the next 7 months? Because there's no way that you can get to the end goal sometimes when you have so much going on, really. And I think too, it's one of those things where sometimes you have to fail. Like, sometimes you have to just like go through a month of like, oh shit, I haven't like done this, I haven't done that, I haven't done this. Like, and that was me for the last month, really. Like, I've failed so much on business, on whatever it might be, because like, I just have so much going on, really. And again, that's where probably missing the sessions have come in as well. And I think too, like, you have to maybe sit down and take a look at that circle. So yeah, I love that. I love that analogy, really. Looks like you learned a lot from from that weekend away. How did LSKD come about? So that's another thing that's come up in the last 6 months. I mean, most recently, I guess, but like, how did that come to be? And what does that, I guess, look like when it comes to, how does that align, I guess, with your goals going forwards? Yeah.
So it came about from Henry Young and the LSKD team here in Adelaide sort of saw what we were building and like the growth and just like this exponential growth of the group. And then they came out and sort of like dipped their toe in the water, helped us out with an event, had a chat with me. At that point, I didn't know like anything that was going on. It was literally just meeting them and all that on like a deeper level, because I had seen Henry around a fair bit. And then Jade, who's like the store manager for Burnside, came out as well. Met with her, had a chat, and they sort of like floated the idea. And then for me, I was sort of like, well, and like completely honestly here, I was like, I need to try some of your product. because I don't really want to like get behind a brand where I'm not aligned with like their product and like their values and their people. And I don't like, it doesn't really matter to me to say I've got this like LSKD ambassador or athlete, sponsorship, whatever. It's more like, what legitimately is this going to do for what we're trying to build? So like the first key was I just wanted to meet the people and find the product and see what it was like. So that was like 6 months ago, and I've been wearing a lot of their stuff. A lot of it has been good. Some of it I've given them some feedback about, and that is like necessary as well. And that's something I'm huge on, is like just actually being able to be honest and upfront and like authentic with someone and saying, look, these things are awesome. These things need to be better if we want to get to where you want to go, which is up here, right? So they came out a lot. They supported us a lot. They then pitched to me, hey, for the next financial year, so like 30 June, 1st July, do you want to come on board? And then for me, like the piece there was, well, what can LSKD bring to what we're trying to build? And their values are huge around community. So I was like, if we put on an event every month, can you guys come to it? Like, can you guys support? Can you level it up? So like, for example, we did our BP 5000, which was huge. We got like 80 people there. Great event, big success. Big part of success was LSKD coming along and saying, look, we're going to give away some things to randoms in the crowd. We're going to give away some things to runners who we saw put themselves out there and have a real crack out there. We want to give the winners like a kit to wear as well, because it was a 5,000. It was an event. It was competitive. And just to have them there and them actually show up, and they brought out Jade and they brought out Henry. It just levels things up for us, which then is like better for what we're trying to build, because it gets more exposure, and all of that feeds onto each other. So that was cool. And that was in May. And then that was, sort of like, okay, this is real. This is happening. They're legit. And then, it's from there, they've had like the first birthday party was this morning. Okay. So that was cool. Where for me it's great because I get to lead a group there that was, I think, like almost 100 people from the store just around Burnside, go for a run, that coffee for everyone that rocks up. They had some giveaways. We had the Melbourne trip, but it's mainly just trying to see how can they sort of like amplify like my message or like BP's message across like their channels. And like we got some things behind the scenes, like some ideas that I've got, and then they're going to hopefully be able to get them over the line, if that makes sense. So that's cool to like add a bit of fuel to the fire, because as you were saying, like when you're trying to do something as one person, you can be super efficient and organized and whatever, but you've only got one person there, and that is limited capacity, right? So if you get a team behind you and you get people behind you who are adding, who you can like offload to a little bit and like keep your like passion through them, then you can create something huge. So that's what we're trying to keep building. If that answers your question.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I wanted you to bring that up behind the scenes as well, because I think for the person listening, like that was big on you when it comes to that first 6 months testing things. Like things are getting skewed. As somebody who has been sponsored by many brands in the past, currently as well, like I think this day and age too, things with the influencer world or whatever, like things are getting skewed where I see a lot of brand deals being accepted when, again, somebody has never worn a top or whatever it might be, right? So like I think like it's very important to have your values, because you can also tell too when an athlete actually cares about the brand versus like when they just care about, oh, use my link and, you know, the sales or whatever it might be, which is important for yourself and for the business, but it's very apparent, I think, a lot of the time. So I think like I wanted to bring that up because I think we're living in a day and age where like people, creators, athletes are wanting to get support. They need to get support because, again, we can't go through it alone, really. But I think like you have to really choose the values and the brands that you're aligned with, because then like it is a two-way street. It's a working relationship, like you were saying too. Like as an athlete, as a creator, as a leader, you offer a lot to a brand. And that's something like that I didn't realize until maybe the last couple of years, really. Like when I signed my first contract, I remember just agreeing to everything because I thought like, oh, I need to like, what do I have to give? You know what I mean? Like this is like they're giving me the world. Like I just need to agree to everything. But now like without having an ego, you have to go into meetings being like, okay, cool. Like this is what I'm giving you, but like what can you help me with really? Because at the end of the day, like I was saying, is you are providing a lot for these brands, for these businesses, and you do need to get something out of the way. Like that's what any partnership is it's a two-way street and you work together towards a common goal really. So that's the only reason why I want to mention that, because like I think again we're living in a day and age where like we need support, people need support, leaders need support, otherwise you're not going to be able to grow. And I think it's quite, I guess now me transitioning to business as well, like I've really realized the importance of creators, of leaders actually needing the support really from, let's say, a big business, because again like we can't go through things alone really, and things that I guess are trying to grow for purpose can't grow for purpose unless again you have like your team of people really. So yeah, that's quite cool how that came to be really. Future, so when it comes to, let's say, when you plan, you're saying that you plan your next month in advance for BP. You already have September plan coming up really ish. What do you have coming up, I guess, that you can tell us?
I guess also, so one of my takeaways from my Gold Coast build was I was self-coaching that, and I was trying to figure out how to do that. And then so one thing I've got now is I've got a coach doing my running. So that's something that also is going to get woven in to the programming. But it also, as we're saying, is a way to offload a little bit and like takes the pressure off. And then you've got someone who's like a high-level runner helping out with the programming a lot. So that's handy. But yeah, like in terms of what we're trying to do next is we're trying to do a lot with local businesses here, who, like, for example, there's FT Hit, which is a gym down at Somerton Park, that's right near the Esplanade. So it's beautiful for running. If we want to do a session, like for example, tomorrow, we're hosting a collab event with them, which LSKD is supporting, which other brands are supporting. We've got discounted coffees for everyone. And what that is, it's, I think it's like 8 weeks to City to Bay, is it ish? And basically what they're doing is they're starting their run club there, which we're going to collab with them, hop on board for that, get our runners down there, try and get their runners out to our sessions, and just like a nice little Adelaide sort of like build together. And it's just mutually beneficial for everyone involved. So like that's happening. We're going to do another time trial, which will be sometime in September, which we're trying to figure out when is best to do that around City to Bay, because we've got a lot of people doing a City to Bay. So it could be like 2 weeks-ish beforehand or like just after. But yeah, so that's happening. We've got a friend of ours who is a keen trail runner. So we want to do a trail event, and I'm just trying to figure out how to do this one, because this will be a big community vibe. So definitely not how quick can you do the 9K trail, or like, oh, let's do like the 14K trail and the first person back gets like friggin', a LSKD voucher. It won't be that. It'll be like, for example, this is what we're thinking at the moment is Belair National Park. You meet at one spot where they've got like the barbecue and everything, and hopefully have some people help out with the barbecue there. And that's sort of like your ground zero, like your starting point. And then we're going to say, look, we can go this way and do a 4K trail, whatever it is, one of those paths. Talia is going to lead that. Hopefully she's keen to lead that. And then we've got like another option, which is like an 8K, something like that. Or it'll be like you can go out all together, and then if you want to add on a bit more, you can hop onto that next one and do that as well. But like have it all around that individual, that initial like meeting point, and then build that. And it's like really like a morning out, and like really like everyone can come, everyone's welcome. You can go and run it hard if you want, but it's like something different as well. And like a big community feel for that one. So that's something we're thinking. Like we're also trying to build out to do events like with things with businesses related to sort of like runners that maybe they neglect a little bit. So like, for example, I've got a mate who's a physio who might be able to do like a running strength session with the crew. And Jade, who I mentioned before from LSKD, is a trained Pilates instructor. So that is something that I think, for example, the runners that I talk to don't do a lot of Pilates, but probably could benefit from it. And just like trying to add those things on and like create those events for people in our community who join us for runs and to like add to whatever they're building, like their business in Pilates or FT Hit, the gym there, whatever it is. But then also it adds to our people who are like trying to build their running. We've got a friend who's a dietitian as well, which is a huge piece for runners. Just possibly like to talk about like fueling, like post, pre, intra, all these sorts of things, and just trying to build out more than like just to like, okay, how fast can you run 5K now? In a month time, how fast can you run 5K now? It's like trying to build out a little bit more, and like all our people who come out, every single person who comes out has their own life and their own thing, and I'm like, I wonder if we can tap into that and like build on whatever that is for the BP and like for them somehow. So like this nice little circle going on is like the bigger sort of piece we're trying to build there. Yeah.
So lots going on, really. So that's cool.
Heaps.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because I think you have to have things to look forward to. And again, like, Adelaide is a big place at the end of the day. So like tapping into different communities is quite cool, because I think like we all don't grow, or we all don't really like realize what we have out throughout Adelaide unless like, maybe a group has gone and done it, really. So I think it's cool, like, just to get out and about and like learn about different things, really, as well, because like, I know me, I wouldn't go to like Belair or whatever, unless like a group was doing it, really, because it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone, really. And you get to learn something new, really, trails and stuff like that. What do you think motivates you? Do you do motivation, or are you more of a habit person? Like, what's your feel on motivation?
Yeah, I was actually chatting to someone about this last weekend. A lot of the time I am very motivated in terms of like, I guess like I don't really wake up and struggle to get up and do whatever it is that morning. But I guess like also the way that I combat that when I'm maybe not feeling so motivated is it's just like routines that I just nail, and like one thing just like flows onto the next, or like a domino falls and you just do the next behavior, and then before you know it, like you're like at the venue and you have to do the thing. And it was never as hard as you might have imagined in your brain, and you literally do it because you're a great, capable human, and you're on a podcast right now talking, for example. But it's like, I mean, just like, for example, like in the morning, every morning I'll do the same thing, which is like just like water with my pre-workout, bagel with honey, and then I go and do the thing. And it's just like you just roll on to the next thing. And I always train in the morning. And part of that is because if I go about my day, all these things could happen in your day, and then potentially at the end of your like day, you're not going to feel like training. But it's like if you just do it at the start of the day, when it's like you go like water, pre-workout, bagel with honey, train, it's just like bang, 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 like all the dominoes, and you just go and you're just doing it. But like, I guess the other side of it as well, which this is maybe not how other people think, although they're going to think this is fucking weird, but like, this is just the case for me. So like, whatever, is I sometimes just say to myself, well, you don't have a fucking choice. You don't have a choice. I'm sorry. You don't have a choice. You literally don't have a choice. Like, and you just have to do it. So like, for example, this often happens when I've got to do my leg day, which is after a threshold session in the morning, at least 8 hours of work, home alone in the gym, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. at night. That's when my leg day, the only time it can slot in for my week. So by that point, sometimes I'm like, man, I do not feel like doing this, but I literally, you don't have a fucking choice. And I'm sorry if other people disagree with that, or they think, oh, you should take it easy, listen to your body, blah, blah, all this sort of stuff. Unfortunately for me, I don't do that because I have bigger things that I'm trying to hit. And I know that if I don't do that leg day, it's not just that that thing matters so much. It's like your word. Like, so for me, it's like the integrity. And as I was saying before, when you look in the mirror, when you look at that guy, you're going to be proud of that guy. And you want to say, I did what I could, and I tried, and I committed. And for example, Gold Coast Marathon did not hit my goal, but I can say in the 7 months leading in, I've never committed so much to trying to achieve something. And I didn't get there, and it fucking sucks. And I will be doing it again next year. Yeah, like that was, I didn't want to get to that point when I was trying to run that sub 3 and miss and think, oh man, it's probably because I just bailed on a few of those runs because I couldn't be fucked. Like, I'm not saying like if you're like sick, like if I'm sick, I won't train, right? But if it's like, I don't really feel like it, then I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't have a fucking choice. You have to do it. You literally have to. So I guess that's the whole motivation piece. Like, you know, sometimes I am feeling good and I do it. Other times the dominoes, just you press the first domino and they just keep happening. And then the absolute last, like, you know, desperate scenario is you don't have a fucking choice. You have to do it. So people can take that as they will. Not saying that to be liked or whatever, but that's just the reality for me. So
I think too, like, it sounds cliche or cheesy, but like it's what kind of person that you want to be, really. Like you were saying, like, you know, your word means a lot when it comes to yourself, like your words towards yourself, but then your words towards the others. Like if you're going to say something, one thing that I hate is like when you or when I'm told something, but then it changes, really, like because there's all of these excuses or whatever. Or when I go through, because I think it's natural sometimes for us to go through that, really. You know, I've sometimes in the morning told myself, oh no, I'll go for a run later on today. But like, again, I always will go for that run because I've told myself that I'm going to, and it's a non-negotiable, really. But like, I think like it's so easy to make an excuse a lot of the times, and sometimes, yeah, there are realistic excuses that come up. I'm not going to like, you know, sugarcoat that or anything, but I think too, like it's really who you want to be at the end of the day. Do you want to be an honest person, or do you want to be someone that, you know, like makes all of these excuses between X, Y, and Z, and then, oh yeah, that's why I didn't run, you know, this pace at the half marathon or whatever. I think I see that all the time, and you know, it is what it is. Like everybody has the right to, you know, go about life as they want, but I think too, like if you're listening right now and you're wanting to go for a goal, you kind of have to hone down a little bit sometimes, really. Talk to people. So person listening right now, if they're in Adelaide, they don't know about the Believe Project, they don't know the sessions, give maybe the person a little bit of a rundown, what it is, where they can find it, and go from there.
Quick little BP pitch.
Yeah.
So it's just down the road is where we start from. Just down the road is a cafe in Unley. Tuesday morning, Thursday morning, 6 a.m. start, sharp. The sessions are always planned, so programmed in advance. It's not a rock up and run 6K easy, anything like that, like a lot of other run clubs are, which is great if that's what you want to do. This is definitely more for if you're trying to strive towards a running goal. So for example, we always do 2K warm up, some sort of session, and then 2K cool down. So like on a Tuesday, it tends to be shorter, quicker reps. And then Thursday tends to be like longer, slightly slower, but still like working reps. And it's, twice a week, Tuesday, Thursday. Definitely for people who want to improve. And that's something that I always want to keep the case. So like, as you were saying, it is welcoming and it is supportive. And I do want to have a place where people feel like they can be their true self. But at its core, I always want it to be like striving. Like, because I think also it's a human need. Like something that I've found personally and like have learnt from other people is like if you go into a season of your life where you're not really striving towards something, some people can become very lost. And it doesn't have to always be I've got a PR, but it's like pursuing something. Like you got to have something that you're living for there. Like, so that I think is very important. And so it could just be someone wants to come out, and for the first time they want to run the 3x8 minute session at 5 minute pace. Like that could be your pursuit, and you want to get to that, and that's awesome, right? Or we've got, for example, I'm sure she won't mind, but Donna has started coming out. Donna's, I think, 40. But what I love is she's not saying, oh, I want to come out here and beat everyone. She's like, I want to come out and challenge myself to run 3 times a week. And one of them is going to be a hard run. And that's my BP run. And you see her afterwards, she is cooked, but she's proud. And that's the goal. And I love that. Like, so that is what we're trying to build out there. We do it twice a week, every week. Something that you sort of mentioned before that I just wanted to chime in on. Regardless of the weather and the conditions, we never cancel. So it's a little thing we've got going, WNC, we never cancel. So if you wake up on Tuesday or Thursday, BP is on no matter what. And that's kind of what we want to try to do as well, in terms of if you want to achieve something, you got to be always there, or at least like whatever you've got that day, and just keep the routine rolling. So yeah, if you run and you're in Adelaide and you want to improve, come to BP.
There you go. Perfect. And yeah, as somebody that goes, you know, it's like Matt was saying, it's everything that he mentioned. So definitely, I think like it's scary, I think, sometimes doing like a hard threshold run or whatever, but like it makes it less scary when you're doing it with other people. That's for sure. And it makes it less difficult. Like I don't do any threshold hard sessions unless I'm with a group, because I know I'm just not going to do the pace. And then like too, as a runner, as a physio and all that, I know sometimes too, if you like try and push when you shouldn't, that's when injury happens, right? So I think it's easier to push a bit harder when you're with a group of other people doing it. And there's plenty of paces usually when you join a group as well. So like it's so much easier sticking, maybe like tagging behind somebody or just in front of somebody or whatever. So that's another reason why I think it's cool to kind of go out and join a group, really, especially on the harder sessions. What do you wear footwear wise?
What am I wearing?
Yeah.
I recently learned in the Goldie that I know very little about shoes.
Okay.
So I was with Chad, a mate of mine, and I think there's a guy, Finn, who goes to RAO, who's very knowledgeable about shoes and running and all these sorts of things, and just met him by a chance on the Esplanade on the Goldie there. And then he was just talking so much about like the foam and like the layering and like the placement of the carbon plate within the foam and how far it is like from the ground and and I was just like, whoa, like, oh my God, I literally thought I know nothing.
What have you learned then? What are you changing?
Yeah, I mean, I almost exclusively ran in my Mega Blasts for about 2 months, which might have been part of the problem why I was having this issue with my foot, which is one of those things that you learn through burning your hand on the fire is how you learn it's hot, and other people learn through the wisdom of seeing someone else and asking, is that fire hot? Am I going to burn myself if I touch it? So anyway, I did sort of learn through that. So rolling through like Super Blasts and Mega Blasts. I wore the Puma DV8s for the actual marathon, which I was running well in, like fast, and I was like loving how it was feeling. But I unfortunately just had that problem with my foot. So that flared up. But loving those. I'm trying to lean towards Asics, actually. I'm finding lately. I like Saucony's as well. Like I had the Triumph 21s ages ago, which is like ages ago, which I loved. And then I've had like the Speed MP4, I think it's called. I'm not huge on what all the names and things are. I'm seriously going to be showing how much of a non-shoe nerd I am here. But I was loving those as well. Like they seemed like pretty quick. Yeah, that's about the extent of my
Okay.
shoe.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting footwear these days, and I think too, like, if you're running more than 2 or 3 days a week, then you might have to look at other options really, because I mean, it's understandable. I think we all think, oh, you just need to buy a pair of running shoes and you can wear that for everything. And in a
Mm,
lot of cases, yes, you can. But when you are starting to go through speed sessions and this and that, like, it is important to be adapting to the muscles. And especially if you are racing or going up to a race and you're going to be wearing carbon or this and that, like, we know a lot more about the technology in shoes, and you do have to change it up really. And if you want to stay injury free, that's another reason
mm,
why I think a lot of these times, it's important to wear. I wear probably a different shoe, not every day. I don't wear a different shoe, but like
yeah.
for every session, I have a different shoe really, because shoes now have a purpose behind them. Whereas like 10 years ago, all of the shoes were just, your 2 layers of foam, and that's really it. Even race shoes, like the carbon broke down so much, you couldn't wear a shoe longer than like one marathon or
Mm,
something like that,
mm,
because it was just done. Whereas at least now, like, I train in my carbon shoes because you can like train in them for 400, maybe 500K
yeah.
ish, sometimes less, but it depends on the shoe. But yeah, footwear is quite important. Go get an assessment. I think that's the important thing,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
Figure out what's for you. Apple Watch.
Apple Watch. Yeah. No, I did have a Garmin, and I loved it,
Yeah.
and then it broke,
Yeah.
and then I just decided I'm going to try an Apple Watch. I love it for most of the time. For actual training, I preferred my Garmin. So, yeah, it was a little bit of a step down for the training side of things, I think. But yeah, like day to day, I like it. But yeah,
Be one of those people with two, one
uh,
on each, right? A
seems-
Whoop on one, a watch on the other.
I've got the
or
Whoop on here.
Oh yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Okay, well, you're halfway
Yeah.
there already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Matt, for coming on the podcast. Thanks for sharing. We'll put BP link in the show notes for you listening right now. You can go there. Instagram, and then you have a website now, I think. So we'll
Yeah.
post that there
Yeah.
on the show notes. But thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing. Come a long way. I remember being almost hit by cars and stuff like that. So it was cool. Like, it's cool not to have that anymore. But yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
coming on.
No, thanks, Geordie, and thanks for having me. And I also wanted to say thanks to everyone and every brand who supported. Like, for me, you can always have these dreams and have these ideas, and as one person, you can't really achieve anything, but to have everyone behind us who's believing in what we're trying to build, I just wanted to say thank you very much. And like, even as you're saying there, like when we started out running, we were literally like a group of people running on a road, dangerously, and just like those people there, naturally you think, okay, how can I make this better for these people? What can we build? What can we keep going with here? So yeah, thanks to you guys for sticking with it. Thanks to everyone who's now supporting us, what we're trying to build. And yeah, let's see what we can keep building.